Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news, mods, updates, etc. And today I've got a couple of new mods for you, and or add-ons I should say, as well as a bit of channel news. So let's start with the channel news first. In channel news today, first off is the A32NX guide or A320 guide that I put out. The printer functionality has finally moved over to the development version, as well as a couple other things. So I will be updating the A320 guide this week and getting the new release out hopefully in the next few days, which leads me over to the G1000 guide that some people are waiting for. The G1000 guide I was hoping to have out by yesterday. Unfortunately, real life got in the way again, as it tends to do at times. Just give you guys a little bit of backstory. I do IT for a living for enterprise level corporations, and I'm on call very frequently. So unfortunately, sometimes that tends to get in the way, and then, 3 kids, wife, the works, so sometimes it just doesn't go as well as I planned. I just wanted to give you guys that heads up. That way you guys don't think I'm slacking or just goofing off, especially you Patreon subscribers who are waiting for new documentation. I appreciate the support, and I didn't want that to go unnoticed. I don't want you guys to think that I'm just soaking up the funds while, you guys stand waiting in limbo. But the G1000 guide is almost complete. After the video that I put out the other day about the autopilot, I decided to make the autopilot section of the G1000 much more detailed. So that way, you can go through it and decide which operation of autopilot would be best based on your particular scenario. And that took a bit longer than what I was expecting. The screenshots were kind of difficult to get at times. I ran into some technical issues. I had a add-on apparently in the simulator that kept crashing it. It was just out of date. But anyway, so it took me a second to iron all that out, and I was sort of struggling with that and everything else. So the G1000 guide, within the next 48 hours, will definitely be done. I got quite a bit done on it this morning. So it's near completion. Now it's just a matter of, a little bit of reformatting based on the new information I've added to it, moving things around, readjusting, page numbers and table of contents, etc. So that will be coming out, and then after that, as I stated before, TBM 930 guide, full steam. I'm really excited to get started on that guide, and I want to thank you guys in the channel, everyone who watches my videos and the TBM 930 videos. A lot of my information comes from you guys. It really does. You guys, especially real world pilots who have that experience and are able to shed some things light in areas that maybe documentation doesn't really clarify real well. You guys are an absolute asset to me, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for all of you. The support of the channel. The channel is just climbing lately. It's just absolutely skyrocketing, and it means so much to me, guys. It truly means so much. It's my motivation. It makes me feel good. You guys are amazing. So that's pretty much all we have for channel news, but be on the lookout for that stuff. Like I said, I'm really excited to get going on the TBM 930. It's probably my favorite aircraft in the simulator right now. The only thing that bums me in about the TBM 930 is, I've got that Bravo throttle quadrant, and really it doesn't use a whole lot of it. And, buttons, levers, switches, we're guys, for the most part, even ladies. I'm sure you guys like using them, and TBM 930, you get the one throttle, that's it. So that's probably my only downfall to it. But anyways, so that's going to be going, and then from here, let's go ahead and take a look at some mods and add-ons I think you guys are really going to like today. Alright, so the first one I have for you guys today is the SkyVector Moving Map add-on. And as you can see here, this icon here is my aircraft. Now we can click on it, and we can zoom in and out. Okay, now you want to give it a second when you zoom out, but notice the icon never changes size, so it makes it real easy to determine where the aircraft is. And then as you zoom in, it will reappear. What's cool about this is if I pause the sim, for example, and let's bring this back up, we can enter a new flight plan. So if we wanted to, I don't know, throw a location out over here. Let's just use the GPS location. And then let's see here. Let's do, maybe we wanted to come down over here. I'm just throwing marks down. I'm not even paying attention to where they're going. Just trying to show you guys some stuff. And then maybe we wanted to go over here and then back into Tucson. Okay. And then obviously we sort of did that out of order, but that's all right. So let's grab this guy and throw it like right here. And so now, you know, if we're flying around, this is real helpful for VFR. If you're one who likes to have the GPS, I'm back and forth on it. I prefer not to have the GPS. You are stalling. Can you not? There we go. I know I've got full mixture and full prop. I'm not worried about that right now. But what's awesome is you can take this guy, and I don't think it's going to work here, but let me go ahead. I'm going to take it off screen for a second so I can use my controls, and I'm going to change my heading. Let's see, what was that heading? I click on that link. What'd you do? I didn't tell you to do that. Anyway, I'm messing things up all over the place over here, so let me just take my heading knob here and spin it. You guys will catch the gist here in a second. I moved the flight plan on accident. Just keep an eye on the plane. You can see it's turning. It makes it nice and simple so that way you can track it using SkyVector with all the options that SkyVector has available. Your GPS coordinates, your VOR information, you know, ADF, all the stuff. Everything you need, your restricted airspace. You know, you have that moving map right there on SkyVector to make things a bit easier to plan and fly your VFR routes. Now, there's some catch to this one, and what the catches are is that the installation isn't quite as simple as just drag and drop. Okay, and the reason being is that many of you, I can almost guarantee, especially with the way that modern routers are set up out of the box, you'll have to do what's called a port forwarding and open a port. Okay, the installation is fairly simple, and it comes with a very nice documentation that breaks everything down. So here's the installation guide for it, walks you through everything step by step, tells you what you should expect. It seems to be using Google Chrome, so that is based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like that is a requirement, which, I mean, I would hope for most people that's not a big issue. Chrome is a very effective web browser, but even if you're just using it for this, I think it would be worth it. But so it tells you how to add the extension. It's very simple. There isn't much to it. I mean, it provides the link, tells you how to run the web service. The part that gets tricky, let me scroll down a little bit, walks you through how to locate the aircraft, but is this guy. The default port is 8001. Now, we start nerding out, talking about ports and firewalls and TCP and UDP and et cetera, people start to get worried. Okay, like, nope, that's too tricky, etc. It's a lot easier than you think. You can typically Google how to access your router if you don't know how. For those of you who are aware of it, you know, it's pretty simple. And so what you'll need to do is log into your router. You can typically Google how to get into it if you don't know, but typically it's an IP address of something like 192.168.1.1 or .0.1, something to that effect. Okay. Now, I'm not going to show you this first screen because it's got information on it I don't want you guys to see. Sorry. But the second one, I don't care too much about. So if we come in here, you'll see that we have firewall, DMZ, and apps and gaming. Something to that effect. You should have something similar. You're going to want apps and gaming. You're going to be looking for single port forwarding wherever that may be. Okay, and then you're going to create one like this. You're going to hit add new single port forwarding. Title it, what's using it. This for me, you can title it whatever you want, really. This is just for your ability to sort things out. I'm just typed SkyVector. External port and internal port, it uses 8001, so I just put 8001, both boxes. Protocols, you can set it up for both. It's not required to identify. Device IP, this is the device that's actually running the service, so unless you're using a connection from a different machine than what you're flying with, you'll just use the IP address that you're flying. To find out what your IP address is, if you don't know, you can open up your PowerShell command and type in ipconfig and press enter, and what you're looking for is the IPv4 address. Okay, and again, that should be blotted out for you guys, but this is the line where you will find what you're looking for. Okay, so type that in there, then just hit apply and OK, and you can close the window and be done. All right, and then at that point, continue on with the instructions. But I recommend doing that part first. Do this part first. All right, everything that I just showed you, and then go back up here and run through the launching the web service here, this guy. Okay, once you do that, you should see your aircraft point up on SkyVector. Now, if you did it in reverse, you launched the web service, you did the firewall change, you opened up the port, and you still don't see it, restart the web service. Okay, close this service down and reopen it. All right, and then just make sure you launch it as administrator as it specifies here, and then you know, you should see it appear at that point as long as you are in a plane. If you're at the main menu, obviously there's nothing to display. You have to be in the simulator or in the cockpit. All right. So that's the first one I wanted to show you guys. I hope you guys like this one. I think it's pretty neat. Definitely adds a lot more functionality, if you will, to VFR flight planning while using the GPS. The nice thing about this is you can do this with really any aircraft you want, and you never have to worry about entering the flight plan into the computer if you don't want to. I'm one who likes to do that just because I'm weird like that. I have fun entering in flight plans. It's just cool, you know, interacting with the cockpit systems, but I know to each their own, right? All right, so now let's move into a couple of pushback items that I wanted to show you guys. We have two different mods that I'm going to show you guys. All right, guys, so what we're going to do now is a battle of the pushbacks. And there's going to be two pushbacks that we're going to battle out today. We have Pushback Helper, which I'm sure many of you have heard of many times, but it has a massive update. Many new features now that make it pretty incredible, like it wasn't already. But then I've got another one for you. It's called Pushback Recorder. Think about that last word for a second, and you think you guys are going to be excited. Now, I was going to look at Pushback Zoomer, and what Pushback Zoomer does is allows you to do everything for the pushback with nothing but voice commands. It's really cool. It's really nice. The drag about it is that we still run into the same game where you have to be in the external view to really get an effective pushback, so you know where you're going, right? So Pushback Zoomer is awesome, and I'm going to leave a link for it in the description below, but I'm not going to display it in today's video because I just don't feel like it competes. It's a fair comparison with these other two. Okay, it's still very awesome. It's still got a lot of neat features, and no discredit to the author. Amazing thing. It can't compete with these guys, I don't think, on this level. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to want to make sure we take note of the gate that we're starting at for this first one. I'm going to display Pushback Recorder first because I think so far for me it's winning the game. We want to make sure we take note of our gate. So we're at KTUS, we're at Tucson International, and we're going to be setting up a pushback for 11 left. Okay, because I already did one for 2908. So gate 150, 11 left. Okay. All right, so here we are at gate 150 at Tucson International, and we're going to be looking at Pushback Recorder first. So this is what Pushback Recorder looks like. It has its own installer, so just you can select the directory you want to install it in. I installed it with the rest of my Microsoft Flight Simulator applications. And we've got a couple different options. So first you have to select what type of pushback you're doing, an auto pushback, a manual pushback, or you're going to be recording a pushback. Okay, you can toggle the jetway just like anything else. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave it off for now. I really don't care for the jetway for this. The parking brakes in the aircraft are already released. I did that before we started the recording. So what we're going to be doing, manual pushback, just like anything else. Okay, so if we select the manual pushback, we can toggle the pushback to start with the down arrow, and then we can use left, right, straight, etc. to direct the pushback itself. Now, that's cool and all, but I want to actually show you guys something neat. Now, the one thing that I have noticed that I can't seem to do is once you make a selection, doesn't seem to be a way to change that selection you made. So I'm going to close it, and I'm just going to relaunch it. It launches very fast, so it's not like it's a huge impact. Okay, and we're going to be doing an auto pushback, okay, because this is really what's going to make it amazing. So, but in order to do that, first we need to do a record pushback to tell it where I want it to go. Inside it automatically brings you to whatever your installation directory is. You need to create a folder called Saved Pushbacks is my recommendation. Within there, create an airport folder, as obviously you're going to be flying around to different locations. Okay, and then from there, how I'm titling these, these are old ones. But, for example, this was from gate 159 being pushed back for 2908. All right, now because of where we're at here, it's going to be the same pushback no matter which runway we're going to. But I'm going to call this spot 150 4, 1, 1 left. Or I can actually do or 2, 9 right. It doesn't matter which one I'm doing at this particular location. So I'm going to hit save. And now it's ready to record the pushback. So from here, I'm going to hit the down arrow to actually toggle the pushback. And I am going to see if there's a way to disable these tooltips. I hate tooltips. I think they're a massive immersion breaker. But I don't know if it's this doing it or if it's Symlink actually creating the tooltip. So I got to figure out. I'm going to ask the developer if there's a way to disable them. Alright, so the pushback has begun. Now it says to keep this window focused. I actually just saw that. It's pretty small print for me. It's on 4K. But I haven't had any problems with my previous tests. So I don't know if that's a requirement or you just get better results. But we'll go ahead and keep this focused. Now from here, I'm going to start pushing my right arrow. And I'm going to hold it. I'm holding down the right key. Because if you let go a little bit, it will start straightening back out in a few feet. So I'm going to hold it. You can see that it turned back out. I probably should have started turning sooner, but that's alright. It happens. We're going to let it bring around, bring around, bring around, bring around. Bring it around, baby, right round like a record player. Sorry. I've had a lot of caffeine today. Alright, so from here, I'm going to stop the pushback. You need to get in the cockpit. Oops. Let's get in the cockpit. Lock those parking brakes up. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to restart the location here. I'm going to go all the way back as if I was flying it for the first time. So I'm going to go back to the main menu, reset my aircraft, and relaunch the sim, and we're going to try this again. Okay? Alright, so as you can see, we are back in the sim here. I've relaunched the Pushback Helper, and now we're going to test out our recording that we just did. So I'm going to select Auto Pushback. I'm going to find which pushback I want to use today. And you can do this at any point. Like, I haven't started the aircraft or anything yet, so we could have done this later on. 150 parking for 11 left or 29 right. I'm going to hit open. And you can see now it's ready. So I can move this off screen, blah, blah, blah. We can go through the aircraft, start it up, blah, blah, blah. And then hit, when we're ready, I'm just going to tap the down arrow. Now, a couple of caveats that he did mention, and you guys can read it. Links are obviously down in the description below. But he did say that, go on to mention that, whatchamacallit, gosh, I can't think right now. Longer pushbacks may have a little bit of deviation in the recording. You know, but even if it's off a little bit, like, you know, if I'm a few feet one way or the other, either off course or whatever, this is still an amazing immersion add-on. You know, you can do a lot with this. As long as we're in the general vicinity, I don't care if it sticks me right where I had it last. I mean, honestly, where I had it last wasn't all that great to begin with, so... you know, but you can do so much with it. You'll be able to actually activate your pushback while starting the engines like you really would. Your wing views, flaps views, things like that. Engine views, you know, the engine rotating, you know, while, you know, without having to worry about managing the pushback. You know, there's a lot of things you can do that would increase immersion, especially for us content creators. Again, this is going to be a big one. Just like the replay that I did a video on yesterday. There it goes. And we're going to see how accurate it gets. I don't want to speed up time because I don't know if that would impact anything, if that would cause any problems. So we're just letting it do its own thing, seeing how close it gets to where we had it. I'm kind of hoping it fixes my screw up because it actually looks a little bit better than where I had it. Maybe about the same. It's straightening out already. There we go. He lets go. And we're set. And that's the end of the pushback. So, really cool app. I can really see this going a long way with a lot of different things. I really like it. I think I might fine-tune some of my pushbacks. You know, I can see myself spending hours on this, making sure the pushbacks are as nice as I want them. But, you know, really cool tool. Again, links are down in the description below. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let's move on to the next one. Now, for today's contender, he needs no mention. He needs no name of recognition. You've all seen it before, the Pushback Helper. Pushback Helper, as you can see, has gone through a makeover and has had many new features. First off, you no longer have to tell it to connect. It connects automatically. You can now control your main door, emergency doors, cargo doors. So there's the emergency door, main door, cargo. You can now set and release the parking brake straight from Pushback Helper. You can now adjust the tug speed from Pushback Helper. Everything else is pretty much the same. Oh, the other thing you can do is you can now pull the aircraft forward. So let's go ahead and, well, we'll get to the actually pushback in a second. You can call the fuel truck. Now remember, the fuel truck takes a minute to get here. So if we speed up time, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've really accelerated time, so it takes quite a while. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our fuel truck coming in, and the catering truck's honestly in the way. Now, I don't see a way to actually get the catering truck to do its thing, but that's all right. These two will sit here and argue with each other for the next half an hour. But we can get rid of the fuel truck. You can still toggle your jetway as before, although we actually look like we're pretty far. Wow, the jetway is actually going to make it. And then if you call the tug, jetway automatically gets retracted. Fuel truck takes a hike. Same with the catering truck if it's out. All right. So pretty awesome stuff as always. The nice part is, what are you doing there, bud? Is you can release the parking brake. That's probably one of my favorite features. But you can also pull the tug forward. So let's go ahead and speed time up a bit. Let's get these guys moving. Looks like he's hooked up. And now let's send the truck in reverse. Again, we can slow the tug way down if we want. Stop. We can pull the aircraft back forward again. Stop. So, the two together now. I mean, that's pretty much it with Pushback Helper. You know, you still steer it the way you normally would, left, right. You can still move it off screen. Doesn't have to be off screen. Doesn't have to be focused, etc. But what you lose, that Pushback Helper, or let's close those doors, that Pushback Recorder gives us, obviously, is that ability to simply just click a button and we're tugging. Where I would still use this, I think this is how I'm going to use them, is I think I'm going to use them both. I think I'm going to use Pushback Recorder for the actual pushback, but I think I'm going to use this for jetway fuel and, you know, your main doors and etc. And your parking brake if you're in the external view. You know, those are both very awesome features. Now, I know there's keyboard commands for the parking brake. Don't get me wrong. There's many ways to do the parking brake. But actually, I don't even know how that works, because if you were using the drone view, you have no control of the aircraft. You know, you can toggle the lights, flaps, etc. all you want, but from the drone view, you don't get control of the plane. Nothing will actually work. So I'm not sure how that actually will work. So this is actually a pretty awesome feature. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little Battle of the Pushbacks. I hope you enjoyed the SkyVector Moving Map. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below. As always, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for me, guys. It really helps me out. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all the support the channel has already gotten. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care.